sunny spaces, smiling faces, happy places. But every sunny space holds a shadow. Behind every smile are sharp teeth, and every happy place has something sinister lurking just below the surface.
Welcome to We Saw the Devil, the podcast diving deep into the chilling realms of true crime. Join your host Robin as she unravels mysteries that have left investigators baffled and armchair sleuths obsessed. Be forewarned, dear listener. We Saw the Devil is not for the faint of heart. Our unflinching exploration will take you to the darkest corners of the psyche and through the unimaginable depths of human darkness to unearth stark secrets to the harsh light of day. Nothing will be left untouched. Are you ready? Are you sure? We saw the devil.
Hello, everyone. It's Robin. Welcome to episode 15 of the Chris Chan Saga, where we are slowly but surely trudging through the insanity that is the life of Chris Weston Chandler, aka Christine Weston Chandler, aka Chris Chan, aka Jesus Christ, Sonichu Prime, Blue Heart, Quickville Guardian. The list is never ending. Last week was absolutely insane, so apologies. The Friday episode got pushed until Sunday, so you're hearing this today on Sunday. And as I said in the mini-sode that I published, this next week we're starting with the new schedule. But yeah, not much in the way of announcements today, y'all. I just want to give a huge shout out to the people who came to the We Saw the Devil Discord chat on Friday evening. A lot of fun. We actually ended up hanging out on the voice channel for over 4 hours. So that was unexpected. So much fun. And thank you guys so much who made it. It's going to happen every other Friday. So I believe the next one will be the 17th or something like that. If you're interested, feel free to check out our Instagram, our Facebook, episode show notes. You can find the directions to the Discord there. Other than that, I hope all of you had a fantastic Halloween. I did absolutely nothing. I was kind of an asshole and turned off all my porch lights and made my house, the exterior, go pitch black because I don't have time for trick-or-treaters this year. And I hung out and watched stuff with my dogs, which for some reason I haven't seen Midnight Mass, the other TV show by Mike Flanagan. I've seen Hill House, Blythe Manor, Follow the House of Usher, but somehow Midnight Mass escaped me. So I pretty much just hung out, ate snacks, and watched Midnight Mass. Speaking of Chris Chan and Halloween, on the subreddit, on the Chris Chan Saga subreddit, of course it's Halloween and a lot of people went as Chris Chan just to be extra funny. But one of the most disturbing costumes I've ever seen in my life, someone dressed up as Chris and Barb together. I believe they're probably a couple. 100% was not expecting that. On the list of disturbing Halloween costumes, I would absolutely say that is in the running. But moving on to this episode, I finished the last one in November of 2014, with 99% of it being just the month of September. It ended with Chris's quote-unquote unclit, and also Null deciding that Chris was just too fucking sad to troll anymore. You know, his fight was gone. He was beaten down. He's not arguing, or it's just sad. So he decided to leave the town of Quickville, and he made Kiwi Farms. Now, between October and early November, not a terrible amount happened. Chris became obsessed with stalking Sega, specifically the Sonic the Hedgehog Facebook page, and he harassed them to the point where they blocked him officially. His gripe? The fact that Sonic had blue arms instead of the classic white. The game Sonic Boom was coming out. The new Sonic had blue arms, and Chris just, okay, the only way that I can compare it, I mean, he blew a gasket. He blew a gasket, similarly to how I feel about ASMR. You know, the people and the creators when they get on mic. Do any of you guys feel this way? Because I feel like ASMR content is a scourge upon this earth. I feel like it should be one of the signs of Revelations or the apocalypse or something. I absolutely hate ASMR. I hear a breath, someone chewing, I hear scraping. I can't handle it. So, I mean, I completely get it, Chris. When something bothers you, just kidding. Absolutely not. Chris just could not freaking handle it. So he created his own video game covers and told his friends to print them out themselves and put them over any Sonic Boom games that they come across, while they're at GameStop or Walmart or wherever. Chris also got caught up on his commissions in eBay and was working to fulfill all of the orders that he was getting. If you recall in the previous episode, there was some drama surrounding Chris not getting out his orders in time, leading to a bunch of his customers filing complaints against eBay and then him getting suspended on eBay, and it really impacting his and Barb's financial status. He also ended up uploading a video to YouTube, which was the first one in quite a while. A construction worker in the neighborhood had started a fire in the lot next to their rental house. And for whatever reason, it tremendously upset Chris and Barb. Who knows why? So they called 911 and Chris videoed out his window and then posted it to YouTube. Chris pulled his typical dumb male, blah, 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 chirping. And then Barb was peeping from her window, and it was just ridiculous. But more so than that, Chris started to become even more obsessed with the idea of finding a woman to have his daughter. Y'all remember, Chris feels like his entire purpose of existence is to have a daughter that he would name Crystal. And at this point in 2014, he just decided it was his time to shine. He had to find a woman to impregnate. Obviously, his British girlfriend, Katie, was his first pick. But here's the thing, she wasn't his girlfriend. She, in fact, put up many boundaries and said that we are just friends. We are not in a relationship, probably more than a dozen times. But hey, when has a boundary ever stopped Chris from claiming that a sweetheart is his? He did decide, though, that if Katie didn't work out, there were others too. And he thought about impregnating one of his gal pals, Renee. When it became clear that Chris didn't know anyone who would allow him to get them pregnant, I mean, how dare they have choice? He decided to try to donate his sperm. So he applied to the Fairfield Cryobank. And as you can imagine, they were like, nah, fam, we're good. Thanks, though. And denied his application and his donor profile. Totally disappointed, he decided to message his friend Renee the following. Quote, "Hey, Renee, I'm feeling a bit lonely right now. My donor application got rejected. So I'm stuck searching for a woman to have my daughter. If not Katie, I would ask you, but you're going through a lot right now, and I wouldn't want to bother you about it. I really miss you. Please respond. I wish you could be here. I'm still praying for you." Like, well, my current sweetheart, who's actually not a sweetheart, I'm just forcing myself on her. She's, she may not work out. So you, just a gal pal, I'd love to put a baby in you. We're not even together, but I'd love to impregnate you and have you have my baby. But I guess you're busy right now. You're unfortunately going through a lot right now. I don't want to bother you with it. Hey, it would just be a life force inside of you for almost a full year. He's absolutely delusional. And then on November 20th, he publicly revealed that he had applied to be a sperm donor and raged that his application was rejected. He said, quote, "I have applied on beaspermdonor.com to the Fairfax, Virginia Cryobank, and in their reply in the images below, I was rejected." Autism was asked about in the online donor application. The simple fact that the sperm bank rejected my application makes it very clear that they are discriminatory against autistic people. They are insinuating that autism is some sort of dreaded disease that needs to be disclosed, despite the fact that it is not an illness. The sperm bank is embracing the ideals of the eugenics movement in their attempt to protect the world from the big, bad, scary autistic people. The sperm bank is also insinuating that autism is genetic or hereditary, when in fact there is no consistent scientific proof to back this up. By denying my application, the sperm bank is thus perpetuating the same old tired assumptions, but without providing actual evidence to support their outlandish claims. As everyone pretty much knows, I'm not really a child person. If he actually went there locally to their facility, to their business front, can you imagine working at the cryobank, helping people who can't have children or allowing people to save their legacy, or there's so many different reasons people would need to go to one. And happy, good job, whatever. And then Chris fucking Chan walks in through the double doors wanting to provide his sample. And this is when Chris was out as a transgender woman. So you had the nasty, ratty, straw-like hair, balding on top, some sort of weird clothing, the tights underneath a skirt, just absolutely looking a mess. Yeah, you get where I'm going with that. Like, you know that donor profile was rejected before Chris even finished the paperwork in the lobby. Just, mm-mm. If there was ever something that shouldn't contribute to the gene pool, it would be Chris Chan. And that sounds horrible and that sounds awful to say, but I stand by it. Chris was actually fairly mellow outside of the screaming about Sonic the Hedgehog thing, and during a chat with a troll, Chris was asked what pronouns that he preferred to use, male or female, and Chris asked to be referred to using female pronouns. The troll then offered Chris the suggestion of using Christine Chandler as their new name, and Chris agreed. And for the purpose of this podcast, I debated whether I was going to switch to she, her when Chris came out as transgender. And I'm actually going to follow the steps of the quickie, which is continuity with Chris as a he throughout the whole thing, just so all records and everything stays uniform. Not only that, but regardless of which pronoun I choose, someone is going to be upset and offended. Chris has been soundly rejected by the transgender community, the gay community, humanity itself. So I'm just going to utilize he, him pronouns to keep everything uniform as to not bring in some confusion. About a week later, trolls decided to just randomly check and randomly Google the name Christine Chandler. And they found a hit. It had been posted on November 20th, and it said the following. The author was Christine Weston Chandler, and their status was happy. And the subject is Heart, Ruckersville/Charlottesville, Virginia, USA. Able sperm donor for lesbian couples. Hello, ladies. I am a female lesbian soul trapped in a born male body, or a lesbian trans woman, if you will. I want to help out in my LGBT community by donating my essence to lesbian couples. It is totally awesome that y'all can legally marry in Virginia now. Anyway, I am game for helping in artificial or natural, preferred, insemination. I am a good person and great in getting to know as well. I also would like to be an active parent for the children if permitted. I am a really caring individual, and I am very serious in my donating. Please shoot me an email for your serious inquiries and whatnot, and I will be happy to provide my more direct contact information via email in response as well. Whew. So, I wish we could just throw out the whole damn suitcase because there's actually a lot to unpack in that really quick paragraph that he wrote. Saying that, again, I'm a female lesbian soul trapped in a born male body. We've heard that a lot up until this point. I'm doing my part. I want to help out my LGBT community by donating my sperm to lesbian couples. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do the LGBT community a favor by being like Johnny fucking Appleseed of awful genetics. I'm down for helping with artificial or natural, and then in parentheses, preferred insemination, which of course it is. And I'm not sure, but a lot of people believe that Chris became transgender, and particularly a lesbian, just to get sex, that he felt that he would have a better chance with women if he were trans and a transgender woman. Chris has never, ever, ever explicitly stated that. But I think a lot of that, of course, him continuously hitting on women and being kind of like lecherous over everything. He's always wanting natural sex with women and objectifying women and pushing their boundaries. And this is a really interesting post that he's so gone that he wants a daughter. He wants a daughter that he can name Crystal, and no one will be his sweetheart. No one will actively sleep with him. So he wants to donate his sperm to a lesbian couple, but then be an active parent with them of their child that he would end up naming. I mean, it makes just no sense. And I think it just speaks, it's kind of sad and it's awful. And it speaks to, I think, level of mental illness, the autism. The discovery of that message kind of made some waves. Also around this time, pictures of Chris's quote unquote unclit were leaked, and it was massively infected. In essence, for whatever reason, Chris's taint piercing was incredibly infected and trying to migrate. And so what was Chris's plan? Was it to, okay, well, I tried, let me take this out? Nope. It was to get it re-pierced. Re-pierced. Have you ever had a piercing that was painful or infected? Most likely you either took antibiotics, cleaned it extra, you did something, or took it out. No, Chris went to get it re-pierced. This time with gold jewelry, and he just left no time between the first piercing for it to heal up before he got it pierced again. Just a couple days later, Chris announced that he had to take it out entirely because the entire area was, according to him, quote unquote, shrinking. Yeah, due to the fact that he had the personal hygiene of an alcoholic Serbian mechanic. I mean, it's no wonder. And this could be attributed to the fact that another piece of information came out. In a private message, Chris had told a friend that he constantly wore a strap on without the dildo piece inserted into it because it allowed him to tuck his penis fully. And the extra sweat and the pressure and the rubbing could not have been good for that piercing at all. Also in December, Chris announced that he and Barb would be moving back into their old home on Branchland Court in the next few weeks. And remember Catherine, the girl who went on the outings with Chris, the one with the British accent who started seeing Colin? Well, Chris, of course, called Katie his sweetheart, and Katie decided to shut it all down. And an email exchange between them was leaked to the Quickie. And I find Chris's language to be kind of disturbing here. Another example, it shows his mindset and his views on women, which, as we all know, he views women for basically sex and reproduction. He feels entitled to them, entitled to a relationship as a whole, entitled to physical affection, sex, which is probably why he felt entitled enough to touch them repeatedly and inappropriately when they set up boundaries with him, like Megan. Katie told Chris that she just wanted to be good gal pals, and this sent Chris over the edge. And he sent her the following message. Quote, "The way you're talking right now, it's sounding like you're trying to clear your conscience." Yes, conscious. "It does not work that easy. You can't rationalize or disillusion yourself like Daffy Duck did. You were the one who made the statement of not wanting to be in a relationship with me. We had been in the open relationship since we established the mutual love and understanding early in our communications with each other. Quote, I appreciate your being depressed. That was a dumb, oxymoronic statement to make. Like Lucy Van Pelt telling Schroeder, I'm returning all the gifts I was going to give you. And she realized that didn't even make sense. You may be book smart, but that does not make you all-knowing or wise. Yes, we could be gal pals, but you have to also realize that I still have the ugly growth that if we were in bed, you could enjoy this near 7-incher damn cock. Relationships work best when both partners take it seriously. I have been serious about it. You are showing that you have been very lackadaisical and ignorant for a while now. What we had, because you took the biggest part that was keeping at least one of us feeling better and more secure than ever, the relationship and removal of your love and emotions for me, it is like emptying a book of everything but the table of lack of contents. And I do think I am entitled to a true, valid relationship with a woman very much like you, because I need the love. And not only that, but I am of royalty in the Weston bloodline. Right now, I am feeling tired, headachy, more depressed and sick of blatant sarcasm and the ignorance you are showing along with your bitchy ass. And my mother is not fond of you right now either. She called you common and you're not wanting to be in a relationship with me. Stew and all that for a long while. Again, entitlement, gaslighting. It's the whole package deal there. And for Chris and Katie, the rest of December basically consisted of Chris repeatedly emailing Katie and telling her that she should see things from his perspective, that she lacks empathy and intelligence because she won't be in a relationship with him. And it's additionally disturbing that Chris said that, hey, yeah, we could be gal pals, but you're going to be missing out on this cock. It's just absolutely vile. And Chris always gives peeks into his chats with gal pals and the way he just sexualizes all of them. And Katie has always been very clear that she and Chris were not in a relationship. All of that to someone who said, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. At this time, Chris also admitted to another fake gal pal that he realized that his father, Bob, was paying his female friends for their friendship and attention. He recalled a story where Chris was getting ready to go to school and Bob sent him some money and said, hey, give it to this girl for, basically babysitting. And then Chris said that he wondered if most of the people in his life when he was a child were paid for by his father. And I found that particularly sad to actually have that realization or that memory surface and wonder, wow, was my dad paying everyone to be around me? But I do find that to be an important point because Chris apparently knew and was cognizant enough to actually realize that. On December 26th, Chris found himself once again in a bit of legal trouble after Barb drove them to the Fashion Square Mall in Charlottesville. Now, Barb went in to eat lunch in the food court and Chris headed over to the GameStop. By the way, he was banned from, not only was he banned from the mall, but he was also banned particularly from that GameStop as well. So he had a double whammy and he had gotten banned because he defaced the Sonic Boom displays, just like he did in Walmart. The employees immediately recognized Chris and asked him to leave, which he declined. And another YouTuber and person who's on Reddit, they were actually in the store at that time, and they actually took a video and later posted what they witnessed. I'm going to upload the clip of this video to the post on our Instagram for this episode. So if you want to see the video of Chris flipping his shit in a GameStop, come to We Saw the Devil podcast and you'll see all the episode material. The GameStop employees recognize Chris. They tell him to leave. You've been banned. Chris, apparently, according to this YouTuber, was like, man, why can't bygones be bygones? And argued with the employees. Employees threatened to call the police and security. And Chris is like, I'll go. And he starts to walk out of the store. He then takes pepper spray out of his pocket and sprays the shirt of one of the GameStop employees with pepper spray. Chris then walks through the mall, gets in the car, leaves Barb's ass at the mall without saying a word to her, and goes home. The police arrive to the mall about 20 minutes later. Barb shows up at GameStop, basically looking like John Travolta lost. Yo, WTF, where's my man-child? And the police end up taking Barb home because the police want Chris. Chris just committed assault. And so they take Barb home in the back of the cop car where they can get Chris. And they promptly arrest Chris. Chris once again picked up a good bit of international online coverage with this particular stunt. As I said, the video also went viral on YouTube, and then some mainstream publications also picked up the story as well, like Wii U Daily, a major online site devoted to all things Wii, and Chris himself was a frequent visitor to that website. 3 days after the incident, Chris was formally charged with a felony, unlawful release of dangerous gas. Because pepper spray in Virginia is considered a weapon and releasing it and just randomly spraying it is a felony because it is a gas. The next hearing was set for February, and Chris immediately posted his $2,500 bail and went back home to Branchland Court with Barb, where he wrote an absolute banger of a diatribe saying that he was the victim of the attack. And I believe that it's such a relevant post, but it's super, super long. I mean, it's 2 pages of a Word document here. I'm not going to read it, but basically Chris says that he is the entire victim. He says that he went in there and they started cornering him and scaring him, and he thought they weren't going to let him leave. And here is what Chris said that has happened. I'm picking the one paragraph where he explains it. He says, on the way to Sears, I peeked into the GameStop and I spotted a new Skylander figure, Blastermind. I was set to buy it, and I was going to consider checking out their Wii U pre-owned software selection in their 3-for-2 deal. Innocent. I was not looking for trouble. But then this male loomed out in front of me, frightened the crap out of me, and he said in a booming voice that only scared me worse, "You are banned from here. You need to leave now." But still determined to continue my shopping, I veered into the Wii U direction when his female accomplice startled me and boomed in as well. Still feeling frightened and mentally overloaded, I made a grab for my pepper spray to use in defense. I offered a few peaceful solutions, but she ended up sending him to go get security. So I shouted, "Fine, I'm leaving," and I dropped the figure. And on my way out, I told the male to not get anyone, and we both stopped near simultaneous. I still felt my own worse from wear with the fear, startle, paranoia, and I did not want him following me and causing more trouble upon me. And then in my defense, and to make my escape, I spritzed a minuscule amount of the pepper spray downward, not into his face, and then I left. I had no idea of the contents of the pepper spray or that it was illegal to use in certain situations in the state of Virginia at all. In the end, I was the victim. I did not cause the original provoking. The assistant manager made the first attack onto me and provoked my defensive response. I was minding my own business, not looking for trouble, and then he startled me, similar to a potential rapist in a dark alley in a big city. Any of you would have done the same as I have in self-defense and escape. And we can sue Sega for changing Sonic's arm color and ultimately his male getting pepper sprayed. Think about it, seriously. End quote. Yeah, absolutely deranged, delusional, entitled, and utterly incapable of accepting any responsibility for any of his own actions. Now, the video of the incident shows Chris leaving the store, except Chris does not miss a beat. Chris quite literally is at the back of the store, starts walking out the front, passes by the GameStop employee, and just sprays him out of nowhere. Just sprays him out of nowhere. Just sprays the shit out of this man with pepper spray. And Chris acknowledges that he's banned from the GameStop, but like everything else in his life, Chris doesn't believe that any rules apply to him. It's wild to me that no personal or physical boundary is enough. Being banned from these various stores means absolutely nothing. Chris still keeps trying to come back in. I mean, Chris initially was banned from the Walmart because it was a super Walmart and he was soliciting sex in the McDonald's in the front. He refused to leave. There was a scuffle, and so the whole building banned him. Then, remember, he went back with the hex box, he calls it, and defaced the Xbox display. But Chris just refuses to accept the fact that any of that is reality or that he has to follow by anyone's rules. But congratulations, y'all. We have officially made it to 2015. And it doesn't take long for Chris to engage in more batshittery. Just 5 days after he bails out of jail for committing a felony act against a GameStop employee, Chris ventures into another establishment where he was also banned, the Charlottesville Walmart. The discovery was posted on the Quickie forum by the troll Thetan. She herself, this one troll, actually played the parts of Chris's friends. Renee, the supposed friend of Catherine, and then also Rebecca Bentley. And just to put it into perspective, the level of trolling here. Catherine was an actual person. Her real name is unknown. She, quote unquote, matched with Chris on OkCupid and agreed to go out with him. She brought her cousin Al, and Al's identity, he was actually the same troll who had gone to the Chandler residence. Remember? Someone went through the dumpsters and the debris after the fire, collected a bunch of Chris's homework and files from high school and just anything they could really grab. That troll was actually Al. Catherine was also friends with the troll who pretended to be gal pals Renee and Rebecca. I know it's a lot and kind of difficult keeping track of how many stock accounts each troll has, but basically, if they're in Chris's life, they are a troll. So Thetan posted in the Quickie forums and said, I just got this from a very reliable source. My friend just texted me that Chris was at Walmart causing a scene. I texted her that he just got out of jail for macing someone, and she said that he was yelling about having pepper spray. So he's threatening people now with it, I'm assuming. So if he disappears again, he might actually be back in jail. And then this troll actually pretended to be Renee because remember, Renee wasn't talking to Chris at this point, pretended to be Renee asking Chris, about it and exactly what happened. The troll said, hey, Chris, do you know someone named Katie? Is this the person you were dating? I got an odd message from her, not sure if she's a troll. And Chris is like, yeah, that's my ex. And this troll, Renee, says, well, she said she doesn't want to be involved with you because you were violent. I'll email it to you later. Catherine, the girl that had gone out with Chris a couple times, decided to actually use this as her out. She didn't want to have anything to do with Chris at all anymore. So Thetan, the head troll that controlled the two other stock accounts, basically helped her get out of it by saying, yeah, I talked to Katie. She says you're violent, which Chris was exhibiting very violent behaviors, and she doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Chris said nobody was sprayed, and they know better than to scare this badass self again. And then he makes a whole bunch of excuses. So Chris trespassed and then threatened to pepper spray the employees. He left the store before police arrived, and apparently Walmart didn't pursue any charges this time, at least that we are all aware of. Direct quote from the Quickie here. Quote, "It's unknown what repercussions, if any, were imposed on Chris for this incident, but he was apparently permitted to shop there again." And if you've been listening to this entire saga, you know that Chris has been spotted at the Walmart in Lynchburg at least a dozen times since he left jail this most recent time. The rest of January is basically Chris freaking the fuck out over Sonic's arms being blue in the Sonic Boom games and bitching to every single person who would listen, whether they gave a shit or not. If anyone dared to cross his opinion, he would boot them from his Facebook group or shun them from his life. And then February 2015 is the full month of Chris and Barb being moved back into the Chandler residence at Branchland Court. And funnily enough, because I mentioned Gino Samuel on basically every episode, on February 2nd, a full-length documentary titled Christian Weston Chandler Documentary appeared on YouTube. It was a high school project chronicling Chris's full life from his childhood to his current date of, at that time, February 2015. And to my understanding, it was the first documentary-style film dedicated to Chris, coming years before Gino Samuel posted the first episode of Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History. Not much overall happened in February outside of that, but the biggest point is that Chris returned to his moneymaker, eBay, asking people to buy medallions and offering commissions. And Chris doubles down on eBay once he gets his access back. The GameStop hearing date was moved from February out 2 months to April of 2015. And don't forget, y'all, Chris was facing a very serious felony. It was a huge deal. So at that point, it was unknown if Chris would be heading back to jail. It was what pretty much everyone was talking about. Would Chris finally receive some semblance of punishment for his behaviors? Or would he somehow weasel his way out of it? Chris turned 33 years old in February. And it's also when a lot of the audio from his outings with Catherine, the one to the Applebee's, the one to his new rental house, that's when all of those recordings leaked online. And we're going to stop right here, y'all, because as tempting as it is to talk more about Chris's entry into the Free the Nipple movement, as well as his newfound penchant for violence and public declaration of using female pronouns, that's going to have to wait until next episode. Once again, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. If you're enjoying this series, please make it known by leaving a 5-star review on whichever platform you're currently listening to this episode on. Hit the subscribe button. And yeah, if you want to see some of the media for this particular episode, don't forget to check out the Facebook as well as the Instagram, which is We Saw the Devil Podcast. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Until next crime.